Yes.
Jason Brown, and Terry Honeycutt. Here.
Awesome. We have a quorum. Would you all stand with the pledge of allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda. So moved. Thank you, Jim. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Jeff. Motion and a second. All in favor? Is everyone? We have some recognitions. So, many of you know Dr. Giovanna Ross was on the board until just last month, right? Because she got a great opportunity, it caused a conflict, and she had to step down from the board, which was a great loss to us. We were on board for 2 years, right? A little over 2 years. So I can speak personally that I think everybody knows, I think the community knows that she brought a lot to the board, that she knows in education like almost nobody in this community. And again, she brought a lot to the board. I learned a lot from her being a board member, even though I had been on the board already for 4 years when she came on board. And she served very, very admirably, and she's really missed on the board. So we want to give her recognition tonight and thank her for her service.
Come on out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for,
Thank you.
I have your phone number, so.
Yeah.
For all of our granting needs.
Yes, and you will see me in just in another capacity, but I would be remiss if I did not say 2 things. One is utilize those policies to help to guide the decisions that you're making, as well as the community school improvement plan. And really, I think we have such a strong administrative team that your job is going to be to really help to uplift and enhance the work that they're doing. So I think if you do those 2 things with this team, this district's going to be amazing. So thank you.
Thank you so Nope.
I need a motion and a second for the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Terry. Motion and a second. All in favor? Some action items.
Get your signature there on the compliance plan, please. All right, we'll start with Mr. Salmon, CTC program evaluation.
Are you gonna put up there that form, or is that just?
They've got it, yep.
Okay. So, not much has changed with the CTC program, except for the fact that we can add in Blue Springs Career and Innovation Center, CIC as we call it, one of those lovely acronyms that we have. I have nothing but good to say about our CTC program. With Fort Osage, it's been a program that was established a long time ago, 60s, 50s maybe, somewhere in there. There's still a picture at Fort Osage of breaking ground, and one of our administrators is there in that picture. So we've been there since the beginning, and it's only continued to grow over time. And then now throwing in Blue Springs Career Innovation Center and them allowing us to join those programs as well has just enhanced the opportunities that our students get to see on a daily basis. Right now, we have, and these numbers have changed even a little bit since I talked to Mrs. Hampton about it last week. We have 38 students who are taking classes through Fort Osage CTC. Some of those courses are housed at Blue Springs campus, but they're through Fort Osage. And then we have 4 students who are taking classes directly through Blue Springs CIC. classes like hospitality management, pharmacy tech, those kind of classes that Fort Osage doesn't offer. I know that Blue Springs program is only going to grow, and I hope that we can continue that partnership so that our students have those opportunities as well. One of the programs that most interest us as educators is they have a beginning teacher program through Blue Springs that allows our kids to go and learn how it is to be a teacher. And so when we have that grow your own concept in mind, that program fits extremely well. And we've had, I think, 3 students along the way that have taken advantage of that program and are now in college pursuing that teaching degree. And so you can read the summaries. I'm not gonna give you that information. You've got it right there in front of you. So it's a wide variety of programs, much of it cutting edge, some of it brand new. Esports behind the scenes is one of those courses that we all have heard about esports and see what colleges and some high schools are doing with esports. This is the background of getting that off the ground and what it takes to run one of those programs and marketing the program and getting students to take advantage of those opportunities as well. So that just shows you how advanced and meaningful it is, because they're seeing those programs from the ground all the way up. And I know that I said it last year, and I think it's still in the summary there, but those of you who drink coffee, there's a coffee shop right outside of Buckner that the entrepreneurial studies students run the entire program from the ground up, and the culinary class even sends over food that they can sell at their coffee shop. So it's a unique experience, and that little area is growing. They've taken what used to be an antique shop and turned it into classroom setting. So it's really neat. It's really neat. Robotics is another cutting edge program that I know some of our students are interested in, and they're able to take some classes through there as well. And then also through CTC, able to compete in some of the competitions with robotics along the way. Real quick story, I went to a principal's meeting at Lee Summit West, and if you've never been to Lee Summit West, it's bigger than most small colleges as far as campus is concerned. And so when you walk up, there's this big facade. Well, there was a huge building in the background which would be on the south side of their main building being built when I went. And so I was talking to the principal, and I'm like, what in the world are you putting in behind your school? And I would say if you took the front of our building from end to end, east to west, that's how big the building was. And he said, that is our robotics building. And so to know that Lee Summit, now each one of the high schools has its own dedicated building for robotics. He said there's one other class that meets in there, but pretty much it's robotics. Competition area, shop area to build and rehab and all this. Now each one of the buildings in the Lee Summit School District has its own dedicated building. So now other districts are trying to keep up with that program. And so robotics is one of the classes that you'll see on CIC there. And hopefully some of our kids can start taking advantage of that as well.
That's interesting, because I thought the Innovator Center that UCM has, which is just down the road, I don't know that they offer those kinds of things, but I know they offer pre-engineering and things like that.
Right.
I always wondered why we didn't send kids there. It wasn't around back in the day. That's another opportunity.
Right. And that, as I was putting this together, I'm thinking we need to look into how we could get kids to that. I think one of the drawbacks to only one of the drawbacks that I can think of is lack of transportation. Because if kids are taking classes at Blue Springs, they have to transport themselves, because we don't have the busing that goes there. We've got buses that go to CTC, but
Do the Pleasant Hill kids, I know they go, do they have
Some tech, yeah.
transportation?
I think Odessa does
Transport
too.
themselves, yeah.
Yeah,
I
they
think
do.
Yeah.
do any of them go to Harrisonville too?
You have to have Cass Career Center too, yeah.
Yeah.
But back on the CTC though, it's all, I saw the Fort Osage group of FFA. I was at a meeting trying to pair MRTA to Farm Bureau, and that's when we talked once about FFA here. That's an opportunity for our kids, if they wanted to, they could be a part of the FFA through our CTC program too.
Right.
Yeah. And-
Well, and the mechanic, they still have the mechanic program and the welding program and the fire science.
Oh, the
and
traditional,
all the trades.
traditional
trades.
CTC, absolutely.
And a massive need for trades, that's great.
Well, and I think too, because one of the things Adam approached at the beginning of this year is we have more kids going than we have in years past. You know, I think that there's been maybe some budget restrictions on the number of kids that could go, but, you know, our CSIP identified that we wanted to push trades
Absolutely.
and have more kids, the number of kids that we had leaving high school and going into workforce in those areas or continued trade, was an area of weakness. So the fact that we've got more kids than ever going, we're excited about this opportunity.
Absolutely, that's awesome. Yeah. Great program.
Questions?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Do we have students AM and PM?
Yes, both.
Both, yeah.
Need a motion to approve the CTC program evaluation as presented. Jim?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jason. Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Sorry, I will say, I just updated the document that I sent this afternoon with websites. I mean, you can just search and find it, but that takes you directly to CIC especially, and there's 30-second videos there that will show you some of the programs that are there too, if you want to take a look at that.
Next on the agenda is the approval of a bus driver stipend for the school year.
In case you haven't heard, we have a bus driver shortage. So I think the district offered this a few years ago when we were in the same situation over COVID. So with our transportation company for a student having the shortage, the additional shortage then is having those people to drive all of our extracurricular activities, especially at the time constraint. So right now, where our focus is getting our routes and getting students home from school. So a lot of times our activities need to leave. High school gets out at 2:30. A lot of times they need to leave at 3:30 to head to a volleyball game or whatever it may be. However, we don't even have, we have to stay for routes. So it is creating a conflict of getting our students additionally to all these activities. So one of the things we'd like to do as a district, first student would hire, and they are providing a stipend and they pay. But as a district, if it's one of our current employees who's willing to go and get certified and go through all licensing to become a driver and drive some extracurricular events and activities, we would like as a district to provide that stipend as well. So the proposed stipend is $500 after they become fully licensed, and then another $500 after they do 6 or more trips or activities, whatever it might be. If we have staff members who are currently coaches, or if they're parents and they are planning on being at activity events and they want to do this, first student pays them. It's almost $19 an hour, but the district would give them this additional incentive. So I think maybe it might help entice some of our staff who are on the edge or thinking about it, especially maybe some of our coaches who can drive a bus on the way to the event that they're already going to.
I'm for anything that helps, and I applaud everybody in the district for dealing with the nightmarish problems that you guys have dealt with. It's I can't even imagine, but thank you. Thanks, everybody. I'll make the motion to approve that.
Thank you, Jim. We have a motion and a second to approve the bus driver stipend as presented. Any questions? All in favor? Is that everyone? We have some discussion items.
Yeah, we've got a report from Navitas. Summer energy savings.
Just data through last week or just?
So I'm not going to show you when it was 100 degrees.
Okay.
No.
Timing is everything.
Whenever you just shut down.
Yeah, I have paper copies if you guys can't see this. I'll pass them out. Keep a closer look. So we met with Tom, feels like it was about a month ago. We showed him the results from the summer, and he said it was a good idea to come show you guys. Even though we usually wait till after our annual reports, but we thought it was good timing to come and just present this at the.
Ryan Terry's still with you, right?
He is.
Okay,
Yes. Your main contact is Luke Lindesmith, though. I don't know if
Okay.
you've met him.
I have not.
He couldn't make it tonight, so. Anyway, so I'm giving you a quick update, how we're doing through. Do I need to click something?
And the same here. Did you turn it on the side?
Nope.
There you go.
Just a quick recap. As part of our program, We did a lot of upgrades around the district, so lighting upgrades, HVAC, controls, commissioning of mechanical equipment, water efficiency, weatherization, and the phase we're in now is continued optimization services, which is where I come in as the energy manager. Working a lot with Jeff Webster, and I just want to start off by giving him all the props. He's been great to work with, and he's a big part of the reason why you guys have the savings you do.
Oh. You broke it.
I broke it. Okay, so we are about we'll call it the fiscal year through us, runs November 1st through October 31st. We're in year 3, so we're about 75% of the way through the year as far as collecting the bills, and we report on the bills we collect. So 75% of the way through the year, you guys are already at 88% of last year's savings. And again, that's last year's savings. You're 150% of where you were during the baseline period, but we're just working on continual improvement. So the program's already been successful. Congrats for that, but now we're just trying to improve each year. So we're ahead of where we were last year, and at year 2, we were ahead of where we were year 1. So the idea is just to keep improving on that year over year. We're solving problems, so there's actually sometimes more equipment that's been running, the one that wasn't running previously that we have kind of fixed and found through the data. But a lot of it is just being efficient with our use of equipment. So the key thing here is the summer savings that we've had. So you can see there the dark yellow bar is the baseline period, June and July, and then the little yellow bar is this past June and July, and it's like 20% of the usage at that time. This is electrical usage only. The high school alone, again, this is compared to last year only, so not compared to the baseline where there's just gigantic drops of usage, but just compared to last year at the high school, there was a 26% reduction, 2023 versus 2022, and that equates to about $5,000 extra captured on top of the savings you were already getting.
And would you say that's from, so the year before the construction project was done? So is that because we didn't have summer school? We shut down that building?
It was a little bit more, yeah, so I think, did the high school have summer school 2 years ago?
Mhm.
Okay, so that was a big part, is we're not running it when there's not people in the building, sending out those thermostat flyers, so if people are in the building, they can use their override. We don't have to run an entire building because of one person comes in after hours. So it's that communication. It's working with Darren on the activity stuff, so making sure when there is a big group of people in here, we have everything scheduled, it's nice and cool, but not running it inefficiently. Yeah, and yeah, in the high school, if there wasn't summer school this year and there was last year, that'll obviously be a big portion of it.
A little bit, but not as much.
Yeah. Middle school was a 36% reduction. So that's about $10,000 extra captured on top of the savings you're already getting, like I said. Here's a breakdown of where we are. It's a little confusing, so I'm going to step you through this. So we're in year 3 of the performance contract. We're 75% of the way through year 3. So the first 2 lines are final concrete. We've reported those to you guys, those savings. But if we're on pace for about $350,000 in financial benefit, and what was projected was $188,000. So that's a surplus this year alone of around $160,000. And if you add up the 3 years combined surplus on top of what you were projected, it's over $500,000. So there will be over $1 million in financial benefit as part of the first 3 years of the program. Any questions on that? And that is to say that that is not a detriment to comfort. Jeff's done a good job. I've done a good job of responding to complaints as they come in, deciding if they are valid, responding to them accordingly. I snippeted this graph because this is the 21st of August, last Monday. So there was no school this day, but it had come out of a long weekend and it was like 100 degrees, even at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. It was boiling lava hot. And temperatures catch up to within range. The set point range there is 69 to 74. They catch up in about 30 minutes. And they stay in that range all day. So that is to say, you're getting these savings, and it's not a detriment to the comfort of the occupants. That's all I really had. Any questions?
I think it's, of course, I tried to get previous superintendents to do something like this, and not to throw the other company that we had years ago under the bus, but it would be easy to do, because we didn't recognize these kinds of savings or anything at all. I'm so impressed with this, and I think for our community, I mean, when we look at those kinds of savings, I mean, instead of paying, no offense to Evergy or other fill in the blank, whatever name they're going by now, you know, we're putting these funds to use for our kids and our teaching, and it's just awesome. Thank you.
It's impressive. I was optimistic but skeptical that we'd see the savings you guys presented, so to see it actually be above and beyond that is pretty impressive.
Yeah, you guys are a test case, a success story. We talk about it in a lot of districts. So.
They use this everywhere. I get
Yep.
screenshots from other superintendents. I'm hearing about your school today in a seminar.
And again, huge kudos to Jeff Webster. He's been amazing, and he's a big part of these savings as well. So.
And as we look forward in bonding projects, we've had conversations with them about some window, which there's not a huge savings in windows, but maybe some solar. So as we update some roofing, we can discuss solar to continue some energy savings, and we can analyze those. We are contract coming up in October, so we'll have the conversations on whether we want to pay to continue and have them to continue to run these analytics and continue to monitor from afar as engineers, or if we feel like we're ready to do it on our own. So we'll have to have those conversations coming up because we have them ready through October, right?
Yep. Think October.
We'll have to determine, but some of the savings could pay for their service. So we just have to prioritize that and decide that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Thank you so much.
Oh. Chip, we'll see you later.
The next discussion items is our board vacancy, as we already alluded to. I received 5. Just to review the process, we had to post to say that we have board vacancies, and we had people email myself to say they were interested in the position, and here's the criteria they had to meet. I won't go through all that. I had 5 people, which I've already shared with the board, but I'll share it here publicly. Tamara Kirk, Caitlin O'Trimble, Robbie Johnson, Zach Pemberton, and Brett Hager were the 5 that actually sent me an email and said, I'm interested in being on the board. So as a board, it's up to us. Personally, I know one person on there. I don't know the other 4. So I don't know where we are at as far as the board is, who knows who. What we did last time was we actually did kind of a written interview. So we asked them to send them a form, each of them let them answer the form in short or long form, however they chose to, and then we each got those as a board. And let us have some insight into who those people were, why they wanted to be on the board, and such. Thoughts, questions? We also have, if you look at the board policy, we can bring them in and interview them. If we want to have, it has to be done in open forum like this, but we can bring them in and actually interview them one by one as a group. We have kind of the say in how we want to move forward with this.
I know 4 of them very well. I'm not really familiar with Brett, but I'm sure he's good. I think that they would all be good board members. I'm just talking. You know, I with Tamara Kirk's both being so close. No offense, it was but and her being a previous board member, I think it's a learning curve, and obviously she's been there, done that. I mean, my suggestion would be that I would nominate that she fill. I shouldn't say fill the role of Tamara, because that's probably not going to happen. But fill the empty seat, I should say. Just based on experience and based on the very close race last year, and she has children in school, and that's just my thought.
mean, those are valid points, and I think the experience factor is huge and stuff, but I guess, to me, we at least owe an opportunity to these people to kind of give us a plea why they want to do this and thoughts and take them through it. I mean, I think as a minimum, if we go back to what we did before and give them a questionnaire, would be fair, because, yeah, I don't know everyone on there either. I mean, what their intentions are going forward and all of that. I mean, it would be nice to put somebody on here who probably had a thought of doing it again when we do run and stuff like that, just to, you know, there is a learning curve and some time helps. So, but I'm not opposed to, as a minimum, ask them to send us questionnaires again. I mean, if you want to sit down and talk, we could do that too, but the questionnaire thing helped last time. I don't know. It's hard not knowing, like I said, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the disadvantage of it.
I mean,
For the people I don't know personally.
Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah. I agree with that. Agree with you.
I'm good with that, because the only one I know is Tammy's.
I think I would tone that down, and maybe the number of questions. I'm just saying that, you know, you hate to put them through a cumbersome process.
Yeah, what did we ask last time? I mean,
I would have to look it up. I don't remember. It wasn't as cumbersome. There were definitely some people last time that were very, they spent a lot of time, for sure. I mean, if I remember right, don't quote me on this, it was 5 or 6 questions, I think. And some people I had, we had 5 pages.
So, I think 2 or 3 is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, why do you want to be a board member?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that and past experience and what do you want to do? Yeah, I mean, I could live with 2 or 3.
It may not even do that. I'll share it with you guys.
Okay, but yeah.
You know, so you know what the questions are.
If I do remember right, there was actually one person last time that actually, applied and then didn't fill out the questionnaire.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. So I mean, we had some last time. I think we had 5 or 6 last time, and I think there were 2 actually. I think we only had 4 that actually filled it out or actually responded, and so we eliminated them off the top.
That's the hard part too, is somebody that's wanting to do this now, like you could have just ran in April. Why didn't you run?
Good point, yeah.
And I know it's a short-term piece too, that's the thing, because Giovanna's seat's up in April as well. So it's not a huge commitment either, so maybe they don't ever want to rerun, but they want to be on the board for 6 months, I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess that'd be something to know. I mean, yeah. So I think it needs to be somebody who's wants to run and do this more long-term thing.
Do any of us know Brett Hager? He's the only one I don't.
Coaches Little League football. He's come over from Green Valley. His dad was a board member in Green Valley for years. I don't know, that's about all I know.
Of course, that's Gabby Grimke's dad.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, that, and Robbie, he'd be like an 03 grad or something like that.
99. He was
99, he was
yeah.
99, okay. Yeah, I know. And his wife works here. They just built a new house in the district and I think, Trimble, she would have been like a 14, 13 grad, something like that. Yeah.
If somebody fills a board vacancy like this, do they have to go to MSBA training for just the 6 months, or is it not required?
So I think you have a year to do it, don't you?
Yeah,
So
well, yeah.
technically, you wouldn't have to, which is a disadvantage. I mean, I think having training is important.
Yeah.
Isn't it only offered in November?
No,
No, they have different times.
It's different parts of the state.
I mean, I don't disagree with Randy. I mean, I think, and I made this case last time, we have appointed somebody, but having somebody that already has experience that can step right in, and no offense, but especially since we already have 2 new board members, right? To have somebody who's already been here and Tamara is a board member, not opposed to that at all. And I'm not opposed to having questions. But, you know, I got some, and kind of what you were alluding to, I think, Randy. I did get at least one, I wouldn't say angry, concerned email from a person who spent a lot of time working on theirs, and then we appointed somebody who had been on previously, and they felt like they didn't really get a chance. And I think I made the case that when I communicated back to them, that wasn't how it really went down. But so I mean, I guess that's the only other question. The thing to keep in mind is, are we asking them to do a bunch of work? We'll keep it short.
Right. motion tonight to appoint Tammy.
Good.
I will. So moved.
Have a motion by Randy to appoint Tamara Kirk to the open seat. Do I have a second? Seeing none, motion fails. Okay. So I will send each of them, and I'll let you guys know the questions. We'll keep it simple, a couple of questions, and I think that most of them will revolve around why you want to be on the group, and why you want to serve. So, and then as I get those back in, we'll set a deadline for it and make sure that they're in your hands. So we all have time to review them for the next meeting. And we don't have to be in a big hurry for this. We have enough to have a quorum, so we don't have to feel like we have something rushed to get this done. We want to make sure we get the right person. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Next up.
If you haven't heard, Jackson County assessed valuation's a mess. I feel like that's my opening line for buses, assessed valuation. So we are setting our tax levy for September 25th. That's our meeting to set. Jackson County did reach out and share with us the number of appeals that they've had, how many they closed, how many they have remaining. So as of today, they've had 42% of their appeals that they've addressed. Their concern is that they're having a 50% no-show rate for the Board of Equalization hearings that have been scheduled with hearing officers. So their concern is the people that aren't showing, how they're gonna handle those, if they're just gonna throw them out or if they're going to address them. So my concern is kind of what Randy's is, that they still have, right now, they still have 31,485 remaining appeals to deal with, but for Oak Grove, let me look here exactly, they gave me a spreadsheet. Active total appeals.
But I can't imagine the county being able to make a definitive statement until all of those appeals are done. Whether Oak Grove is all done or not.
Right, so the city of Oak Grove, our Oak Grove School District taxing 4,392 total district parcels. They received 987 appeals. 664 of those are still active. 323 have been closed, 23 have been withdrawn, 262 are stipulated, which I don't know what that means, and 36 have gone to Board of Equalization with a decision. So, so obviously the question, the concern is, are we gonna have the information we need to? I mean, no matter what, September 25th, we have to set a tax levy. We have to have it done by October 1st. So we won't be the only school district, fire, library, taxing entity that'll be in that situation. But when we set our tax levy, we just may not have exact equalization assessed evaluation numbers. So we won't know what that revenue drag is gonna be exactly. So just wanted to kind of give that update.
And the financial piece to it, I think one of the things when I was down there for 4 hours with my appeal, one of the things that was common discussion was, our delinquent tax this year may be off the charts.
Right.
For people not being able to pay or frustrated maybe because they haven't finished their appeal yet, it's a deal.
It's a deal.
Yeah.
It's a deal, and
Not a good
we
deal.
still don't know how it's going to affect us, so that's what the waiting game that we're playing, and we're gonna probably set a tax levy not knowing full evaluation, so we're gonna set a tax levy not knowing what the revenue is going to be of that. So that's just more of an FYI, that's where we are.
We have some MSBA policy updates first readings.
We do, we have 2 sets of MSBA policy updates, 2023A and 2023C. We just did B, somehow MSBA didn't get A to us last winter. So we're doing 2 sets of policy updates. This is just the first reading. We'll have a little more discussion over that next month, and then we'll approve that 3rd reading. October.
speaking of policies, I know we approved the activities handbook last month, but in good conscience, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but the day after policy, it just pains me because I feel like I was part of the problem by creating me and Mac, and I feel it's been, again, as I shared last month, I think this is a solution looking for a problem. I would make a motion that we suspend the day after policy for at least a year, if not forever.
I think we need to put that on the agenda, we can make up a way to show that on the agenda.
Then I definitely want it on the agenda for next month.
Sure.
I know that,
Go ahead. Okay, can I throw out there, we'll give it some thought, is maybe we look at leniency towards it. I mean, I don't want to make it an administrative nightmare, but maybe we look at, I think the problem we have with it is there are situations where it's way too restricted, it's too strict, and the problem wasn't as big as the punishment by any means. But we also have a situation here where this is maybe keeping kids coming back to school and not using it as an excuse to sleep in the next day because football ran late or volleyball was in Clinton. And we're having kids remember that academics is why we're here and sports is what you do on the side. But if we put some leniency to it, we could avoid the situations where we have somebody can't play senior night because they were 20 minutes late for school, or so if we put a, I don't know, and one day, you know, you get one free pass.
with Darren not being here, Tracy and Adam, can you speak to, I know he was having conversations with you guys about allowing parents call in. Did we go anywhere with that?
Yeah, we had conversations, this is gonna have a stipulation where there will be some time there after the bell rings, and also if they notify us before a certain time, that we have some discretion to excuse that if it's reasonable. Which honestly, at the middle school, we don't deal with it a whole lot. I mean, we haven't had a lot of instances of it. But yes, we have had conversations about that. And it's kinda like what you talked about, there's some leniency there, and just, if they communicate with us, that we would have some grace there depending on the situation and up to a certain time of the day. And then if it became a situation where it was chronic or a situation that happened over and over, there would be some coach's discretion to that, and administrative discretion. I think that's reasonable. That's the conversation we had.
And that seems what we're looking for on these personally is we don't want the chronic situation, you know.
Well, I
You
just,
need-
and no offense, but I just don't see that with this being in place for 20, 30 years or more, that our kids are just gonna fall into some, because our administration and our coaching staff hold them to a high standard already. And we've always said, you're student first and athlete next. And I don't see anyone changing from that. Again, I think if we didn't have the policy at all, we would have very few, if any, issues with this. Just my thoughts.
I know the conversation we've had with head coaches at the high school at least is that the policy is there as a school-wide policy, and so they're not having to make their own individual policies per sport, because, and from that, they like the fact that we hold kids to that standard. Because if we remove that piece of it, then they're gonna have to make decisions on an individual coaching basis, and then it's gonna be all over the place. And that was one of the items that we discussed, was the consistency behind it. And I know that one of the discussion pieces we talked about was the legitimately being sick the day after an event, you know? We'll make concessions for that. We've done that in the past. It's nothing new to us to do that, especially post-COVID, those kind of situations. So-
But that kid still, I mean, are we still requiring that kid to come to school and then we send him home?
No.
Okay.
And Randy had a situation one year where a kiddo came in, and I mean, they had fallen on the basketball court and had an eye that was swollen shut, and they came in just to check in and they went home. And I was like, you know, and so we haven't really been doing that. You know, the instance with Coach Mack, I played for Coach Mack at Blue Springs after he was at Oak Grove, and he had the expectation, we just knew as part of his program, that you better be at school all day and you better be there, because if you weren't gonna play.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think to answer your point, Adam, though, I think if you didn't have the policy, then the coaches, you wouldn't have the coaches make their own policy. Just like if right now we have a district-wide policy or an activities-wide policy, I mean, I would not expect our coaches to go out and create another policy if we didn't have this policy. I mean, just, they're following this policy, they should follow the policy we didn't have.
Well, we'll put it on the agenda for next week.
Yeah.
But I think that discussion good, so. Okay, administrators, we're back at it. Who wants to go first?
You're not.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. So we've had an absolutely wonderful start to, I think, the early stages, obviously, for our kids entering school, ECC through second. So I want to give a big shout out to my staff and Mrs. Alexander and all the other administrators. And I am going to applaud the bus drivers and the lunch ladies and everyone else to be a part of it. It is a hard job at any level, but managing students and parents and all the extra stress that comes along with the start of school. So honestly, it's went very smoothly, very smoothly. So, but going through before that, PD days, 2 weeks ago, we had our back to school PD days for our staff, and we spent most of it in trainings. We had our E3 safety trainings, which I'm sure you guys will hear more about later. We had a lot of Trauma Smart training, which is a program, a grant, obviously, that we have received, and it is going to be 20 hours of training that our staff is going to go through to help us be more educated on dealing with students and helping families who have some trauma, and our students who are entering the classrooms with some background in trauma. So, so far it's been very enlightening. We have gone through six hours so far, so 14 more to go. So, but it's been very worthwhile. Then I know our secondary, middle school and high school will have this training next year. So, on top of that, we are going through NWEA training, which if that is one of those 4 assessments that DESE has issued because of Senate Bill 681 that just says that every school in Missouri, K through 3, has to assess students in literacy multiple times throughout the year, and we have to provide a reading level and or levels of readiness for reading, and then provide interventions and document those interventions with parents and communicate it with them throughout the school year. So NWEA is the assessment that we chose here in Oak Grove. So of course our students have to be tested on that within the first certain amount of days of school. So that is this week for our kids. Not kindergarten, they have until middle of the year, but 1st through 3rd. So we're starting that up very soon. So obviously we're already practicing what that might look like. It's on a Chromebook, and how to make sure we get the most accurate data from our kids for a first assessment that they're going to take on a Chromebook, have to read out loud into headsets and microphones so we can get accurate data so we know how to provide interventions for them for the remainder of the school year. So, so we've had a lot of training for our staff through that. So again, I want to applaud my teachers because they've gone through a lot of new learning on top of Teacherese and science training. I mean, that's just the nature of 2023. But like I said, I'm very blessed because most of my teachers are tenured and they understand that it comes with different school years and can take it like pros. So I'm very blessed to have them. We've had some upgrades just building wise that I want to thank. Even though we went through renovations 2 years ago, we're still getting some renovations. Our first grade hallway kind of went through a little remodel, and we had all new paint done over the summer, new floor put in around restroom area, and then brand new sinks. So when you walk down our first grade hallway, even though it was the newest hallway before the addition, it's now back up to speed and looks kind of bright and refreshed, and I was happy to see that when I came back that was done over July. So, and then also if you looked out on our playground, they poured a new asphalt on the playground, which was desperately needed, and they moved the canopy from the old ECC over to the primary. And so kind of the plan is right now, it's over just a grass area, which it provides some shade, not only for our teachers out there doing duty, but also the kids. But obviously we do have a plan for that for the future. Just right now, we just have the canopy. So we're looking forward to figuring out what can go under it in the future. But until then, it's just a grassy area with some shade. So, all right, any questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
I didn't really, I mean, I kind of was gonna go, but wasn't really sure if I. Anyway, so I made these for, and I'll just pass, you guys can kind of pass them. They're for each of the buildings, safety wise. So each one of them is individualized for each building. It's kind of got the phone numbers and stuff, and this will go in their go bags, emergency bags. So when they are out, if there is an emergency, they'll have this with them. We are doing the I love you guys. These kind of the evacuate. These symbols right here is from the I love you guys site that Mr. Huffington found that is amazing. And so that's, and the new E3 training is under these same icons are what you're gonna see. So it'll be universal across the district. So when they see it in one building, they're gonna see it all the way through. So we just kind of added that in there. So this is kind of something that'll just, like I said, go in their go bag and they'll have that. So that's kind of been our big thing, and what I focused on was safety stuff with Mr. Huffington and Mr. Kemp over summer and getting ready for the school year. ECC wise, it's going great. We had our first lunch. I know that you saw that on there. So that was exciting to have like our first lunch in the cafeteria on a Friday, because we've never had kids on a Friday there. So that was kind of exciting for us to do, just kind of, and it's just been an adjustment kind of throughout the program, is just seeing how schedules are going to work and stuff like that. But it's been amazing. We have 4 days of trainings coming up, or screenings coming up for incoming kiddos. So we're probably going to have a waiting list starting that 3rd week of September once we get that list together. So we'll have those numbers for you guys so you can kind of see how much we're growing. So that is just some of the stuff that's going on with us. It's been a great year so far, other than the heat. We've actually enjoyed going out to recess today. That was amazing in itself, was just going out and seeing the kids excited to go. And we got some of the sandbox that we had from the that we didn't get to put up last year, got put up over summer, so they got to use that for the first time, and they've loved it all. So
Thank you.
Elementary, I'm going to piggyback off what Mrs. Euler said with the primary. Our teachers did a lot of the same things at both the primary and the elementary as we prepared for school. A lot of professional development, a lot of new initiatives and things that were coming down the pipe. So they spent a lot of time learning, teachers learning. We never stop learning. We expect our kids to learn, and our staff does the same thing. So we spent some time in Teacher Ease, Trauma Smart, Cengage Science, and E3 Safety app. And as she was talking about NWEA, the reading assessment, that's very, very new for us. We've been doing lots of reading assessments for years. So our teachers are learning new ways to see where our kids are at and to check and to do those interventions. And so we're excited about that. We are doing exactly what the primary is doing. This week is supposed to start our testing with NWEA. It's about a 20 to a 30-minute test. It is a universal screener, which means that all of our students are taking it, and they are on headsets, as Mrs. Euler was talking about. They're all taking it at the same time. Each grade level, we're starting with 5th grade. They'll take it first so that we can kind of work out the kinks with them. They're familiar with taking assessments on the Chromebooks, since that's what they do with map testing too. We'll move on to 4th, and then 2 days for 3rd grade. They will take a foundational assessment and a dyslexia screener test as well, because we do report that to DESE, those findings for 3rd grade. Backing up a little bit, on Monday the 14th, the elementary school was a host for a community-wide event through Project Connect. We had about 80 vendors in our gymnasium, in our hallway, and if you didn't stop by, you probably saw all the cars, the Bloodmobile in our front parking lot. We had all kinds of happenings happening all day long. They had close to 100 adults come through our building to get information as to services that are in the nearby area for our families. So it was exciting to be able to host that for them. We had Meet the Teacher Night on Monday the 21st. Our building was full, and it was cool, so that was a plus too. Our air conditioning was working, but we had lots of families come in and meet the teachers. But it was great for our families to come in that hadn't been in the building yet, to see the updates and the renovations that had taken place. A lot of our families are families that went to school here, and so it's fun for them to come through and see familiar faces, but to see how the building has changed across the years. Our current enrollment, I just kind of wanted to update you on that. At 3rd grade, we have 145 students this year so far. 4th grade, we're at 149, and in 5th grade, we're at 145. Any questions about the elementary?
I do want to say we got new desks and chairs, and I think Mrs. Hampton talked about that last time. So super excited to get our kids into those new desks and chairs, and our teachers were super excited to have those too. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm super excited. I remember my glasses because last time I figured out my arm's not long enough to accommodate my poor vision.
Welcome aboard. Yeah.
First of all, the first 3 days went very, very well. I wanted to thank the custodial and maintenance staff. I was really skeptical when we found out that we were going to do summer school in the middle school and not some other buildings, but I had a lot of compliments from our staff just about how well the building was cleaned and prepared and ready. So I want to make sure and mention that. Also, just thank you to the OGMS staff, students, and parents for a great start. Everybody just kind of went with the flow, and we made adjustments as we needed to, and it went really, really well. Want to talk to you about enrollment. I kind of went by cohort class to do a comparison, but our 6th grade class, the class of 2030, has 168 kids this year compared to 155 at the end of the year last year. Our 7th grade, which is the class of 2029, has 163 compared to 148, so 15 new students in that class, 13 new students in our 6th grade class, and our 8th grade class, 160 compared to 152. So right now we're actually at an enrollment of 491, and I went back and looked. That's the biggest class we've had since 2013. So as far as just total enrollment. So we're at 491 right now, which we were at 460 at the end of the year last year. Right now we've had 36 new students move in and 5 that have dropped. So our enrollment's up and looking good. Building focus, just talked to you a little bit about that. Our model this year at the middle school, shared responsibility, shared success. Talked a lot about just shared responsibility, helping each other out, always being a hand. And never saying that's not my job. It's everybody's job. They're all our kids, and I feel like our staff has embraced that. And then really also in the classroom, we're going to focus on student engagement, not only just engagement, but instructional strategies and also resources. One of the things that we did when we sat down with the building leadership team and then also our staff was talk to them about our NEE indicators for our teacher evaluations. We've had the same ones for several years now, and we decided we wanted to kind of change those to reflect our focus. So we'll be working on 2.5, which is building on prior experiences, learning strengths and needs, which we've had before. And then we had just technology in there kind of as a focus, and I feel like we're all using that now. So we've expanded that to 4.2, which is using instructional resources to enhance student learning. And then 5.1, motivating and effectively engaging students. And then 7.4, which is monitoring instruction on whole class and individual learning. So one of the things we're going to do in every one of our team needs is talk about what are we doing to ensure student engagement. The sit and get just doesn't work for kids anymore. So how are we going to mesh, the use of technology and traditional instructional strategies and new things into the classroom? We've also been doing and talking a lot about safety training. I know you've heard E3 tonight, but we're doing some classroom training on just different safety procedures that are simple in the classroom to help keep our classroom safe. We've also developed a school safety team and committees, and then also as a district we've talked about building a threat assessment team for any type of situation we have in the district, so that when we have a student that has needs, we make sure that we have the right path and the right resource for them to get what they need so it doesn't turn into something bigger. Activities and upcoming events and programs. Number one, we're really, really excited about our science resources and curriculum. Those teachers have all those big boxes with all this cool stuff, and it's like Christmas around there. So they've been excited about that. I know you guys have kind of talked about some of the robotics things with CTC, but our project Lead the Way, we continue to get resources for that. And some of the classes we'll be offering this year will include robotics and project design and mass media classes, things like that. So I think it's going to be a lot of things that the kids are really, really going to be excited about. And I think after this year, it's going to be even more and more. So I'm really excited to get that started. If you haven't been in the lab at the middle school, it has totally changed from what it looked like before. And it's just really, really impressive. So I want to thank everybody that's been involved in that as well, because I think it's going to be great for our kids. We had great number for all of our fall sports, and they'll be starting shortly as far as their first events. I sent out information today to the parents about a new program we're going to start called the Panther Pride Program. It's developed by our building leadership team and then also our student council, where we're going to have a quarterly incentive for students based on attendance grades and behavior. And we base that attendance on our CSIP plan with some of those 90% and above for attendance. So that's where those numbers came from. So I sent that out to our parents today. And really, guys, we just want to do that to celebrate the great kids that we have. We put lots of resources and lots of different types of kids, but we just got some really good kids, and we want to celebrate those 3 areas. We'll be starting our safety drills this week and in coming weeks. So we've got 3 this week. We'll have a fall sports parent meeting on September 5th, and we'll also start our homework hour on that day, which is a great resource for kiddos.
And then fall sports, football and volleyball have their first contest on September 6th, cross country on September 11th, and then also esports will be soon to follow. And then if you guys like karaoke, you're always invited to Friday karaoke at OGMS. So, any questions? Any questions for me?
Explain the Friday karaoke.
So karaoke, it's actually something that I call him DJ Jazzy Hames. But he started on Fridays, and the kids love it. So they can come up and they can pick a song and they sing and they dance, and the whole cafeteria gets involved. But it's just kind of a way on Fridays to get the kids excited, and they look forward to it. I mean, every week if we don't have it, they're disappointed. So, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been a good addition to our lunchroom. So, but it's been a good start.
Awesome.
It was a good. Yep. Thank you, sir.
You should come in a full dress.
Yeah. Embarrass the heck out of me.
All right, for the high school, one of our first activities was our freshman orientation night. We had roughly 75% of our of our freshmen who attended that event. So I want to thank all of them and their parents for joining us on that night. It was an effective start for them, especially, and we're going to do better. I'm going to do better this year. We always try to do a visit day for the 8th graders in the spring, and I have neglected that the last couple of years because we can't find a date that works. So I'm going to work with Tracy, and we're going to get that taken care of so that freshman orientation isn't the first piece of the transition to the high school. But thanks to the parents and caregivers for attending that event. We're also higher in enrollment this year. We have 172 freshmen, 172 sophomores, exactly the same, 155 juniors, and 121 seniors. So we graduated roughly 120 and brought in 172. So we were running 560, 570 last year, and this year we're at 620, right? So we don't have karaoke Friday, but if you want to come and eat lunch with the high school, you'll have trouble finding a seat because it's pretty packed in our cafeteria at this particular point with all the kids that we have. I want to commend our teachers at the high school. They worked hard during our 4 PD days, embracing all of the new, really is what it came down to. Teacherese, especially with the student information system, our E3 training, our new science curriculum, thanks to Mr. Hubbington and Chris Smith for all the work that they did to get our science teachers on board with that. And our even AI information. We had a lady from UCM who came in and talked to our teachers about artificial intelligence in the classroom and how to embrace that and how to make it work for us instead of students just using it to write a paper or something like that for them. So appreciate all their efforts. They have, up until this point, met almost all of the challenges that we've had with open hearts and open minds, and I commend our faculty and staff for that. And on that note, thanks to all the parents and caregivers again for their patience, their cooperation, and their grace as we go through all of these situations that come up. Coach Selke is supervising tonight, actually pulled double duty with our JV's first football game and our soccer second game for our soccer. So activities-wise, our softball team went 3-0 Saturday at the Greater Kansas City Tournament. And so we ended up being the bronze bracket champions for that particular tournament. Overall, we are 3-1-1. The tie happened because of the heat. They ended it early because of the heat, so that's where that extra one comes from. Football won our home opener on Friday night, 47-7 over Lawson, and then 38-0 tonight. Combined C and JV team against Lawson got a victory tonight too. Our other sports, soccer is playing in the Raytown tournament. They played Saturday. They play again tonight. They're up 5-0 at this particular point tonight. Volleyball is playing Richmond tonight, and I think won all 3 of them in varsity. I think I'm have to look at my text. C won in 2 games, JV won in 3 games, and varsity won in the first 3 games. So good start for them. Our girls golf gets their start Thursday at Harrisonville. Actually, that may have been one that was changed. I apologize. Just had an email come through today. Yeah, so it's moved to September. So sometime next week will be our first golf match for our girls program. Cross country September 5th at Higginsville, and fall musical Freaky Friday. If you haven't heard what our fall musical is, that's what it is. Auditions for that start tomorrow. Okay. And so we're rolling. I mean, we're only 4 days in, but we've got lots of activities going on at the high school. And if you ever lack for something to do on a night, just check out the activities calendar and come on out and support the Panthers somehow. Okay. Questions? All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Brandy, you want to go to Pathways update? I'd love to. In case you don't know, I'm not a public speaker, so I'm gonna stand up here and sweat for a second. Pathways is off to a great start. It's been pretty awesome. I also want to tell Adam and Jacob thank you. They've been very patient with the transitions and all the different things. If you haven't been to the new space, everything is brand new. We have brand new common space furniture, the paint. Our maintenance department has been absolutely amazing through everything. We are also sharing a life skills class with the elementary on the back side of the cafeteria, where students will learn how to cook, do laundry, all the things. Mrs. Finley has been absolutely amazing in all of our purchases, along with Mr. Huffington and Mrs. Hampton. Just all the things that we need, we have it. No questions asked. It's been awesome. We have currently 18 students who are enrolled in our credit recovery true alternative setting. 2 Missouri Option students. We do have 1 middle school student with us full-time, and then 1 who starts his day with us. He's new to the district. I believe it's gone really, really well. He's been very successful, and it's just kind of that transition piece from an old school in a different state to Oak Grove, and he's been really well, doing really well. Our program starts out with social emotional learning at the beginning of the day for all of our students. It's a huge piece for them. Our staff has been awesome, also learning all the new things. But we feel like it's a great way to build that bonding, build the family, build the trust with the students. It's a huge, huge piece with these kids. We do have 4 certified teachers. 3 of them came from the high school. We have 1 new to our district. And then we have Mr. Bass, who's running our in-school suspension and OSS class. We also started, or we're working with Edmentum. Mrs. Smith has been a huge help with that. That's going to be our curriculum piece for our students to get the courses that they need, the courses they're behind in, and then we spend our afternoons doing project-based learning. The kids had a great experience last week in the heat, helping the elementary out. We had some books that went missing, and they were a huge help, came out, moved a whole bunch of chairs, got the books that we needed, and put everything back inside the dumpster. So they've been really excited about that, jumping up and helping and just really making it their own. Let's see what else. OPA. So our students are getting their breakfast and lunch every day from the elementary. I just wanted to thank them for all their extra help and support. It's been going really smooth. And then also, just wanted to say thank you because our staff, some of them obviously transitioning from the high school to the alternative building, they were able to visit Fort Osage last year and Blue Springs. And we've sat down and had a lot of discussions about what we want Oak Grove to look like. How can we best support the high school and our students at Oak Grove? We also went to a conference this summer that was really beneficial, just getting to meet people like us. And so they made some great connections, have people that they can reach out to. So that's all been great stuff. One other thing is for our students and families who come to the pathway or come to Pathways, we schedule intake meetings, and it's so incredibly important to meet the students and the families, let them know what our expectations are, how it looks differently. Those meetings last about an hour, and it's been amazing to sit down with those families and have those families come in. So I just wanted to thank those parents and caregivers for taking the time to do that, because it's a big piece to us being successful in that partnership. So any questions?
Great opportunity for our district. Thank you.
Super excited. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so nothing else in the discussion items. Would like to announce that our next regular meeting date and will be the meeting where we set the tax levy. Will be September 25th at 6 p.m. Right here. Seeing nothing else on the agenda, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Randy.
Second.
Thank you, Jane. A motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment? So that's everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Yeah. Yes, thanks.
Good luck on a great year.
Our growth is growing.
Well, I forgot to announce my numbers. That was at the top of my form that I didn't read. So our kindergarten class is just at 1:30, by the way. So here's all these other numbers. I know, that's why I wanted to come tell you. Even though, like, so 1:30, 134 for first grade, and 160 for second grade. So the only thing about kindergarten you gotta take into consideration, like, we've had a new kindergarten